Welcome to Riding Shotgun on Tuesday, December 11th. Christmas Day is 2 weeks from today. Holy moly. I still got a little work to do. Glad to have you along for the ride. I can barely see out the front window of the truck because the ice and moisture and my windshield wipers are frozen, and I should have done a better job of scraping the windshield. That's the honest truth, but I think I can drive this kind of blind. At any rate, wow, this is really a calm week. This is one of those weeks where there's just not much going on. Illinois played Saturday, beat UNLV, and now is off the entire week before they play this weekend against East Tennessee State. And, you know, just off all week, so they'll practice, work on some things. I bet they probably welcome that. They've had a pretty hectic schedule here early in the season, and then after Saturday's game, they're off another full week before the bragging rights game the following Saturday night down in St. Louis against Missouri. And then, of course, they'll play Florida Atlantic. I believe that game's on the 29th of December, before a really rough start to the reconvening of the Big Ten schedule. Of course, they played 2 games already, but January 3rd they'll reopen at Indiana, and then they'll play at Northwestern, and then they'll come home to play a team that I think is the best team in the Big Ten, Michigan. So that's a rough first 3 games. But first of all, back to the UNLV game. You know, maybe you got to learn to win first, and then later you can learn how to win with a little more style and a little more grace. They kind of staggered to the finish line there. Not very pretty at the end, but they did hold on to win, and some different people to talk about. I really liked that Samba Kane had made enough progress in practice to merit Brett Underwood's trust as the second option in the post behind Georgie. And Samba got in there and did some nice things. Showed you a little bit about why some people are excited about him. 4 of 5 shooting, some really nice shot blocking, and probably to a lot of us called to mind a little bit of Nana Igwu in terms of the shot blocking. Illinois hadn't had a rim protector, and to see even a little bit of that was nice. I talked to a guy, and I can't tell you who he is only because when I was talking to him, it sounded, I wasn't even doing it for a story. I was just having a conversation with a college basketball coach who, his name came up, and he knew Samba Kane, and he asked me about him. And I said, you know, he hadn't played much, and he missed the 8 weeks of summer, and that was hurting him because he was really trying to play catch up. But I said, what's his upside? And the coach said to me, he said, assuming health and, you know, 3 or 4 years in the strength and conditioning program that Illinois has, he said, I think his upside is that he puts on a hat and shakes Adam Silver's hand. Well, that means he thinks he's an NBA potential player. And I don't know if that's right, don't know. But I know that he's got some skills. He's obviously got to get physically stronger. He is really thin, but he's quick off his feet. He's instinctive blocking shots. I think he can round into a guy who can do some things offensively. He runs like the wind. I mean, he is fast, man, and gets up and down the floor. And when he gets a little bit of confidence, I think he's going to be a guy who can be a factor. The other guy who really shined on Saturday was Andres Feliz, and we hadn't seen much from him, and I thought he took over portions of the game for Illinois. I think he had 19 points to lead the Illini, so all that was good. The way they finished the game was not, and I'm assuming that's something they can work on, but first of all, you got to win a game against a power conference team, and at least they did that. I also had an opportunity over the weekend to watch some Illinois volleyball. It was on TV, and wow, how exciting is that? Congratulations to Coach Chris Thomas's team for making it to the Final Four in Minneapolis this week. That was really exciting. They're regional final match against Wisconsin, one they won in 4 sets. Volleyball is one of those sports that, you know, I don't see it often. Maybe you all do. I see it during the Olympics, and I always kind of fall in love with it during the Olympics. I just think it's exciting. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of action. I think it moves. I think it's fairly easy to understand. You know, the rules are not complicated, and if you've got good announcers, they can explain them and catch you up on what's going on there. So that was exciting. Now they go to Minneapolis, and Illinois will play Nebraska. Nebraska is the reigning national champions. Illinois split with them. I believe they lost to them in Champaign and beat them in Lincoln. That will be a heck of a match between 2 Big Ten conference teams in one national semifinal. And then it's Stanford against Brigham Young in the other, which ought to be a heck of a match too. Stanford, of course, #1 ranked in the country, coached by former Illini head coach Kevin Hambly. Brigham Young, don't fall asleep on Brigham Young. Brigham Young, I believe Brigham Young and Stanford each have 1 loss. Stanford's loss is to Brigham Young very early in the season. I think late August they lost to BYU. And Kevin Hambly played at BYU as a men's volleyball player. So, you know, it was interesting when Kevin Hambly left Illinois for Stanford. I thought in the back of my mind, although it didn't raise the same, you know, chatter on social media, but this is a lot like Bill Self leaving for Kansas. You know, Kevin Hambly was a heck of a coach, but he's a California guy. Stanford's probably his dream job. Probably puts him closer, he felt, to a national championship. Same circumstances with Bill when he left Illinois to go to Kansas. But I don't think there's the animosity toward Kevin Hambly that there was toward Bill when he went to Kansas. So anyhow, all that stuff interesting. I saw Lovey was at the Illinois volleyball match over the weekend as well. So wish them a lot of luck. That game is Thursday night, 8 o'clock ESPN. That's the semifinal game, Illinois-Nebraska. And then the 2 semifinal winners will play on Saturday night for the national championship. Be fun if it was Illinois and Stanford in the national title, but man, it's cool to have a team get that far. Yes, it'd be nice if it was basketball. Yes, it'd be nice if it was football. No denying any of that, but pretty cool that Illinois got a team there, and a lot of excitement for volleyball, man. That Huff really rocks when they get going. All right, everybody, listen, thanks. Hope you're having a great holiday season. We'll get with you again next Tuesday, talk about what's happened over the weekend, both basketball and volleyball, and see what's going on in terms of any shaking in any other sports, and maybe be able to look ahead a little bit to the bragging rights game. Appreciate it. Thanks for riding along. We'll talk to you next week. Good night.